Hey everyone, welcome to episode 150 of the All Dolphins podcast. And Omar, we got nostalgic a little bit seeing the first episode we ever did.
I was like, wow, I can't even believe that. I don't know how it came up on my YouTube timeline, but it was just like the first episode, just sitting there looking at me, and I was like, wow, yes, this is nostalgic.
Yeah,
150 days of seeing you generally straight. Can you imagine that?
yeah,
Seeing somebody for 150 straight days.
that's harsh. That's rough. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Imagine if we didn't like each other, man.
Yeah.
Um, so anyway, it is episode 150. Before we get to the news of the day on this Tuesday, December 5th, 2023, we will as usual recognize a player who wore the number corresponding to the episode number. In this case, number 50. The first go around, we recognize Olivier Vernon. This one, I'm going to go back further in time to a guy I'm going to possibly imagine you've never heard of, a former first-round pick in 1976 who started for 7 seasons for the Dolphins until he tragically died of a heart issue while jogging in the desert in July of 1983. Then that would be Larry Gordon, who was a very solid full-time starter, had a 3-pick game late in the 1978 season against the Oakland Raiders.
Hold on, wait a minute. So he died while he was still an NFL player?
Yeah. And this was, and this was a run, a sad chapter in Dolphin history. They had a run where it was almost every summer one of their players would die while still active, including David Overstreet, another former first-round pick who had played in the Canadian Football League and crashed his car into gas tanks in Texas. Yep, and whose son is now an assistant coach somewhere in the NFL. I want to say maybe Indy, used to be in Indy for a bit. They also had another linebacker, Rusty Chambers, who also died in a car accident. So it was a really rough stretch there of summers. But Larry Gordon, again, was number 50, RIP, very, very good player. And our friend Marcel would like to know probably that he played at Arizona State.
Interesting.
So among the news to discuss here on this Tuesday, we have a nice honor for Alec Ingold, NFL Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee for the Dolphins. And this really interesting report that came out not that long ago about the Dolphins possibly being involved in a game in Brazil next year.
That's not possibly it. It's going to happen because Steve Ross likes the international games.
Correct. However, here's the thing. Based on the report from the gentleman, John Sutcliffe, who is based out of Mexico, and despite his name is Hispanic and very well versed, obviously, in Latin American affairs, he pointed out very correctly that the Dolphins are the one team in the NFL that has those marketing rights. Remember, they did this like in May. They assigned, and the only team that has marketing rights in Brazil is the Dolphins. And he was talking about making it the regular season opener because of logistics. Here's the thing, though. If the Dolphins win the Super Bowl, they're not taking the game away from Hard Rock Stadium, or they should.
I mean, let's not go that far. Let's not go that deep. A regular season opener in international waters, that doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't make any sense.
That's the report from
the game going to Brazil, that makes sense. But a regular season opener, come on, man. That you don't take your regular season opener somewhere else.
Okay, dude, you can question me all you want. I'm telling you what the gentleman reported.
Okay, well, I think that the odds of them playing in Brazil this year or next year are highly likely. The odds of it being the regular season opener, robbing it from the South Florida fan base, which has had a ridiculous level of success in games at home, that would be cray-cray. But let's continue to move forward. We got plenty of time to be talking about the 2024 schedule.
Absolutely.
We got an entire off season to do, and no idea what the hell we'll talk about. But
we'll come up with stuff. And anyway, this isn't like to spend half an hour on it, but certainly, to me, it was worth mentioning. So let's move on.
The news of the day is that Jerome Baker, which is to nobody's surprise, suffered an MCL sprain. Now, MCL sprains typically, I'm putting on my doctor hat because I've stayed in a Holiday Inn. MCL sprains typically take 4 weeks at the minimum. Can a guy come back and play on an MCL sprain with a brace on? Yes. Not a guy who's going to be changing directions and relying on his speed in terms of covering running backs. So, in my mind, obviously, Jerome Baker is not going on injured reserve right this minute. But in my mind, you got to get yourself prepared for Duke Riley to be the starter for the next 4 weeks, which basically covers you for the Tennessee Titans, the New York Jets, the Dallas Cowboys, and then probably on the road against the Baltimore Ravens. Plenty of players and coaches talking up Duke Riley today. Duke has been a reliable, consistent NFL player. I've been very impressed with him when he stepped up and had the opportunity to actually step up. There were times when David Long missed all of OTAs. There were times when he would even, I think Mike McDaniel even acknowledged that Duke was pushing Jerome Baker for the starting spot at one point. Duke's got some talent. Yeah, I think he said it today.
He said that today? I didn't recall.
Yeah, he said something along those lines today. Like, he was rubbing it in our face. I like our depth. I've always liked our depth. There are times, and Duke spent all of the training camp with the start, all of OTAs with the starters before David Long got freed and released from basically rehab work. Then we also have to have Andrew Van Ginkel in the mix because Andrew Van Ginkel still plays the inside linebacker. But what's most important is that the green dot is not going to David Long. The green dot is actually going to Duke Riley, which means Duke Riley is the every down inside linebacker and David Long is not. Why is that? Because Duke Riley is better in pass coverage. And in fact, back in the Brian Flores era, that's what he was. He was the dime inside linebacker in working in pass coverage. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out and whether or not it waters down Miami's number 7 defense.
I'm not expecting a major impact from that particular situation. I think in terms of
no drop off from Jerome Baker to Duke Riley, in your opinion?
I don't think it's significant. No, and okay, it's a massive drop off. I hope
Duke Riley's good. I mean, Jerome Baker's contributor. I never understood what fans. Fans always get this, that guy sucks mentality. Jerome Baker contributed 100 tackles every season. Every season of his career. He's been a starter every season of his career. Relatively durable player. This is the first time he's ever gotten really hurt. Is he sexy? No, but he's giving you some sexy plays this year. He's a very good blitzer. They rarely ever ask him to blitz. Now, show me what Duke does. Because I know what
you just finished talking up Duke Riley, and now you're going to.
I like Duke, but is he Jerome Baker? But my issue is he's not Jerome Baker, and you're like, oh, it's not going to be any drop off.
I don't think it's a significant drop off. It's funny because wow, dude, you just you spend 5 minutes talking about singing the virtues of Duke Riley, and then the next second, the second I say it's not a significant drop off, you're like, really? Like, no, I don't expect it to be a significant drop-off.
I'm a professional sparrer. What do you want from me? We're starting here. Listen.
I want consistency from you, Omar.
No. I said that Duke Riley is a decent borderline starter. Jerome Baker is a starting linebacker in the NFL.
Is he an impact difference maker on defense? He's a solid starter.
Okay.
Who, if you rank impact players on this defense, is what, number 7, number 8?
Fair.
Okay. I don't think whatever you lose in terms of quality from Jerome Baker to Duke Riley, and obviously Baker's a better player. There's a reason he's a starter and not Duke Riley, but I don't think the gap is significant enough considering the impact that Baker makes for it to affect the quality of the entire defense. I think I would have been, let's say, to me, in those terms, the loss of Jalen Phillips potentially was more impactful.
Jalen Phillips to Andrew Van Ginkel is more impactful?
What's the bigger gap?
Time out. You just said, let me put this so you can understand it and we can dissect this.
Go ahead.
You just said Jalen Phillips, who was arguably trending up and was a very good player, probably a top 4 player on the defense because he was getting hot. Is a
he had
huge
gotten hot. Forget he was getting hot. He had gotten hot.
okay. You said that he's a bigger drop off from Jalen Phillips to Andrew Van Ginkel, who we will both acknowledge was the star of the defense. Was the star of the defense when Jalen Phillips was out, correct? We both acknowledge that. We both
against Washington, yes.
No, not just Washington. No. I'm talking about earlier in the season.
Star of the defense is a little strong for my taste.
Oh, he was the star of the defense. Wasn't he leading the team in sacks when Phillips was out? Didn't he have monster games when Phillips was out? He didn't just all of a sudden just pop up magically.
He was playing great out on there. Again, star of the defense is a little strong for me.
Who was the star of the defense back then? Who was the star of the defense?
Probably your two guys up front, if you want to go with somebody. Zach Sealer, Christian Wilkins at that time.
He had more sacks than them.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize the work of an interior defensive lineman is strictly about getting sacks. I mean,
okay, touche to you on that one. All right, well played. But no. I'm not gonna let you let that slide. Giants, Carolina.
Hold on, here we go.
I'm not gonna let that slide.
What is it you're not gonna let slide?
The fact that you said that the drop off is bigger from Jalen Phillips to Andrew Van Ginkel than it is from Jerome Baker to Duke Riley. Partly because it's a more impactful position. If we're gonna compare players, I like Duke Riley. I think he's a really solid player. I think you and I both like AVG a little bit better. Yes.
Fair. I think Jalen Phillips is a clearly more impactful player than Jerome Baker.
Yes.
Okay. And I think edge defender in this defense and most defenses actually is a lot more impactful position than an inside linebacker.
Then the green dot player who plays
the green dot's about communicating the
yeah. So when you don't think communication breakdowns is a big thing, you don't think having everybody on the same page, having everybody do it, you don't think that's a big role? There's only one green dot player.
You mean relaying the calls from the side from the
and making sure everybody's making the right calls when the adjustments are there. That's his job, not this quarterback of the defense that everybody keeps talking about. I'm not going to say the name.
No, let's go there. Come on.
No, not going there. Not going there.
You want to smoke my way, but you don't want the smoke coming back.
That's the secondary. Quarterback of the secondary, yes. If that player wore the green dot, then he'd be the green dot player. There's one guy talking to Vic Fangio or listening to Vic Fangio.
But I said what I said. I like Duke Riley. I don't think the drop-off is going to be significant. I don't think the defense is going to lose that much. Okay. And as far as the other thing is concerned with AVG and Phillips, let's not be prisoners of the moment where AVG had a huge game, and I have nothing but confidence in
more than one huge game. Don't be disrespectful.
I'm talking about for this particular time now that
I'm not just talking about Washington. I'm talking about the earlier games.
I know that. I'm talking about for this particular time. And dude, the best case scenario is there's no drop off in either case. That's the best case scenario, and I think the Dolphins have put themselves in a position where, and there's somebody in here, and it's not me, who kept panicking about the depth of this team throughout the summer. And again,
it wasn't going to call me out like that. Are you really going to call me out like that?
Where's the lie?
I was concerned about depth.
Okay, thank you.
Depth on the offensive line.
You were concerned about the depth pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, depth on the offensive line, depth at cornerback, which you saw reared its ugly head early in the season, depth on the defensive line, depth at inside linebacker. Did I not have a depth at tight end? Did I not have a right to have my concerns about depth? Okay, a lot of players have stepped up. Julian Hill has stepped up. I didn't expect them to be completely healthy on the defensive line until they lost Jalen Phillips. Okay, now you've gone a good stretch. You finally suffered an injury at inside linebacker, and now your depth is being tested. But at least I was right at cornerback. Come on, at least give me that.
Except the problem is you're talking about because you lost Jalen Ramsey, who was like one of the best top 3 or 5.
No. Because you were starting Eli Apple and had to have Cater Cole who play on the boundary, and Justin Bethel being a dime and all this. Yeah, it's all right, but
yeah, we're talking about one injury impacting everything. And again, how many teams in the NFL could lose a guy like Jalen Ramsey and not feel it?
yeah, I mean, offensive line depth.
Another one for me.
Touche. I'll let it slide. I mean, you can call me. Yes, I was concerned about that. Did I not have a right? Did I not have a right to be concerned about the depth?
I think it was overblown. I could be wrong, because I'm sure somebody out there is going to say, well, I said the same thing. I'm pretty sure I had said I wasn't quite as concerned as you were. That I think overall their depth wasn't bad.
I mean, clearly Mike McDaniel brings it up at every possible opportunity, so he's rubbing it in that they were right and I was wrong. Okay, Keon Smith.
Again, see, and I don't. This is where I don't put much stock in it, because we all know they're going to say the entire time that our depth is great, and if it turns out that if the offensive line had completely gone into shambles after the injuries, it's not like they would have said, "Oh, well, we were wrong." I mean, obviously they're going to publicly back all their players, which is what they should do.
They're going to publicly shame us at the fact that our season hasn't fallen apart, even though our offensive line is falling apart. That Mike McDaniel might bring that up every single day. He's like, as I told you guys when we were talking in training camp, I like our depth. I like our depth. We like our depth. Okay.
And I will again make the argument that the scheme and the skill position players, including the quarterback, make life a lot easier for this offensive line than other systems that depend more on having an elite offensive line. Like, I think, for example, the Eagles ask a lot more of their offensive line than this particular scheme demands. And that's a credit to McDaniel. It's a credit to everybody on offense. And even to that point, they have done the job. But it's a different it's a different scheme.
You know what's funny?
Here's the thing: the Dolphins are system offensive linemen. How's that?
Yeah, they are system offensive linemen. They're outside zone offensive linemen.
Correct.
They're athletes. They play on the edges. Yeah, they are system offensive line. But I saw, not that I put stock in Pro Football Focus grades, because I do not at all. But I saw that they had rated Austin Jackson as the top offensive tackle in the NFL from last week's game, which I thought was like, okay. I personally did not see that, but hey, props to him. I think Austin's doing a phenomenal job. He talked today, and really talked about Austin mentally is a different person this year than he was previously, but talked about all the things that he's done, strengthen the areas of his body that he knew were the weak areas. And I've had this conversation with him privately as well. And he's playing well. He's playing about as good as you would have possibly have hoped that a first-round pick would have played. And then he also talked about Liam Eichenberg and how Liam Eichenberg has kind of worked his way out of that mental rut and building his confidence. Now he's a confident player. And it's good to see. And really parlaying this into a further deeper conversation, which is something that I will be addressing on alldolphins.com, which you can find your work for free, because that's what we do. We do it for free.
That's how we roll.
How many stories today, Poupart?
I have 7 so far.
All right. I don't think you're getting 7 stories from your newspaper that you're actually paying for. But Robert Hunt looks like he's going to be shut down again. The Dolphins were ultra cautious with him, holding him out for an entire month. Mike McDaniels classified the play that he got injured on a fluke play. That was something that couldn't have been prevented. It wasn't that we brought him back too soon and it just strained the hamstring. If we know how Mike McDaniel rolls, we know that more than likely Robert Hunt will be shut down again for the foreseeable future. I don't know how long, maybe till that final 3-game stretch.
Which are called what, Omar? Come on, you can do it.
Elimination games.
There you go. That's for you.
Yeah, thank you. He talked about them today again too. I
Use
love,
that term?
huh?
Did he use that term? I didn't catch that.
We know what point he's talking about when he's talking about those games. We know what it's so funny to see this team, and they know exactly where they are. They know exactly how good they are. They and even having a conversation with Christian Wilkins, where Christian Wilkins basically was like, "Yeah, we're we're beating teams by 30 points. This is not him saying it. This is me. We're beating teams by 30 points, but we haven't even played our best ball yet. We haven't even and I would agree with them. Not even the 50 burger they played their best ball. They have not played their best brand of football yet, and they're just blowing teams out, which shows you that there's a lot of potential here, and there's a lot of there's a lot of upside to what they can do. Now, the key is to be peaking at the right time. However, as you will know, and I got O-line IBS, peaking at the right time requires good offensive linemen. And right now, no Robert Hunt. Teron Armstead is on a we're gonna trust him program.
That's going to be the rest of the way, gang. Just get ready for it. You know it's going to be
no. You know what it needs to be? It needs to be he needs to be shut down for the next 2 weeks. And I am a Teron Armstead fan. I think Teron Armstead is a phenomenal player. The person that I've seen on the field the last 2 weeks, that ain't Teron Armstead.
I agree.
And I think Mike McDaniel said that there are things that he's doing where he's not he knows he has to dial it back on this particular play because of what he's battling or what he's going through. I'm sorry. I don't like that version of Teron Armstead. I like the guy that's firing off the ball, turning the corner, getting to the second level. And if I can't have that guy, and I know Kendall Lamb is battling a back injury, but I want Kendall Lamb on that line, and I want Teron resting for the next 2 weeks so that I can hope that I can get him back for those final 3 critical games at a higher level. Now, what Mike McDaniel also acknowledges is his level of frustration with this and these injuries and the season he's having and the reputation he's built and the durability concerns, and no way to turn the page on that outside of play. But then when you're out there playing at 70% and not looking like yourself, are you really helping yourself and the team?
Correct. And if he was hoping to erase, that cloud over his head of being, like injury prone and all that, that ship has sailed for 2023. Because even if he plays the rest of the way, it's still going to be, Teron again dealt with the injuries. So at this point, I agree with you. I hate doing that, but this is one for you. Shut him down for the next 2 weeks, because I'm going to say it. They'll win the next 2 weeks, with or without Teron Armstead.
Easy games, huh? Huh, poop.
There are games that they clearly should win. That if they play again, so this is completely clear. No, it's not an automatic, and yes, it will be as impressive as anything else because that you're paid to win games. But the fact is they're 13-point favorites against the Tennessee Titans on Monday night, and the following against the Jets, they're going to be 10, 11-point favorites. And those are games that if they play them under, say same players and all that, same venue, same dates, they play them 100 times. The Dolphins beat Tennessee, 97 times? They play the Jets, they'll beat them, 95 times?
I'm sure you said that about Cincinnati Bengals and the Jacksonville.
No, I wouldn't have said that many times because Cincinnati's a better team, much better team than either of those. And also the Dolphins are better than the Jacksonville Jaguars.
That's new from you.
Dolphins are better than the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The 2 days ago, you said you were worried about the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I was worried about the Jacksonville Jaguars, number one, because it turns out I was wrong. I think I overestimated their defense, number one, and then number two, because their schedule was very favorable. But in addition, beside the fact that they had some bad injuries to them last night, now they've lost Christian Kirk for the year or for at least a few weeks. And Trevor Lawrence looks like they escaped horrible news, but he's got a high ankle sprain. He's going to be
just make him move.
Correct.
Just move him off his spot.
But the bigger story last night was that their defense got completely smoked by Jake Browning, who looked better than anybody would have guessed outside of Cincinnati. But even at that, I mean, it looked bad. They gave up like I think it was 496 yards. That's not Super Bowl contender. So now at this point, yeah, and again, the Dolphins have shown they have more firepower when they're operating right than probably any team in the NFL. Dallas is the only team that's close, unless I'm mistaken. There's somebody else, but Dallas is the only team.
49ers, baby, they got some firepower.
They do.
Number 1 rated quarterback.
They do.
Debo Samuels.
Except
Christian McCaffrey.
the one difference with those two teams, though, is no team has the quick strike ability of the Dolphins.
Okay.
And that's the thing. And
I'd rather run with power than have quick strike.
I agree, except the difference is that the Dolphins could play like crap for 3 quarters and be down 14 points, and then 2 plays and 2 75-yard bombs, they're back in the game.
Okay, that's fair.
So anyway, the bottom line is, where I was getting at is absolutely, I think the next 2 games, the Dolphins should handle with or without Teron Armstead, get him ready for the stretch run, and which is when, as you mentioned, absolutely you want to build while continuing to win, secure that number 1 seed. And you want to build heading into the playoffs with him playing your best football.
Would you be confident and comfortable with Keon Smith starting at left tackle against Tennessee Titans?
Yes.
Damn.
I'd be fine. Based on what I saw against Washington, and I understand a lot of it was just straight ahead running, which is a lot easier on offensive linemen. But the Dolphins, I trust Mike McDaniel enough to scheme it.
Butch Berry too?
Yeah, but the scheme comes from Mike McDaniel.
Keon Smith, Lester Cotton, Connor Williams, Liam Eichenberg, Austin Jackson. You're good with that line?
Perfectly fine with that line. Whatever concerns I may have had about the Tennessee defense were greatly alleviated with the news that Jeffrey Simmons is not playing. That dude.
Yes.
That dude's a difference maker. If we're going to talk about major drop-off when you lose one guy,
yes,
that right there.
Yes, absolutely. No, I am not where you are. I still have, I have trust issues, well established, well documented, very valid trust issues. And while Liam Eichenberg is building my trust, if you have Keon Smith and Lester Cotton on the left side of the line, now I've got concerns over there. Then I got my 2 reclamation projects over here. That make me a little queasy on the right side. So I'm not comfortable with that. If Kendall Lamb is healthy, I said no. Okay. I apologize. I don't know if anybody knows how to like take their phone off their computer, like let me know, because I absolutely do not know. I'm not computer savvy.
I'm not either. That's the only reason I mock, because I'm not either.
Yeah, I'm like, I have no, my computer actually switched with like the Google Chrome thing. It like did an update and it changed colors, and I just hate change. So I'm like bothered by it. I'm like, go back to what it was. But anyway,
somebody in the comments, please comment about how it's probably in the settings somehow you can change it. But go ahead.
And like I don't know how to. I don't have my phone, my texting connected to my Apple. But like I don't know how to shut off the call log. But anyway, that's another story. What was I saying? I'm not there yet.
On the offensive line.
If Kendall Lamb is out there, okay, I'm okay. I will. My IBS will be under control. But Keon Smith, I know he played great and it was admirable. But let's not pretend those weren't pass play sets, and he wasn't facing a dominant, forceful, pass rushing defensive end.
Chase Young, Montez Sweat. Those aren't good. Oh, wait a second, they traded him. Sorry.
Yeah. So, and listen, props to Keon. He has proven me wrong because I didn't think he deserved the spot on the 53 initially. And Mike McDaniel and the staff have proved me wrong because, good God, have offensive linemen gone down like crazy in this league. And props to him for what he's done and what he's been able to accomplish. But am I ready to say he's ready to start an NFL game? No, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm not concerned again, because And again, this is partly the scheme makes life easy on the offensive lineman. You're going to, I mean, this is where we're talking about.
It's not the scheme, it's the quarterback.
As I was saying, the scheme.
Oh, you're just going to ignore what I said, right?
Oh, no, I heard you loud and clear. The scheme executed.
And you're just going to ignore.
Well, Tua is not the one calling like what.
Oh, but he's the one getting the ball out of his hand quickly.
To guys who are wide open, yes, he does that very, very well and very accurately. Again, everything working in unison.
All right. I'll let it ride. I'll let
everything working in unison, and Tua's doing the job.
It's not the play call. Yes, there are checkdowns associated with every play, and Tua gets the ball out of his hand quickly because Tua gets the ball out of his hand quickly. He got the ball out of his hand quickly with Brian Flores.
Except that now it's working because his guys are getting open very quickly. Tyreek will get 5 yards behind the DB, 30 yards downfield in 2 seconds. So where Tua doesn't have to hang on to it, and Keon Smith doesn't have to
hold on to the ball for 1.5 seconds, sir.
Okay. The point remains. So that's why I'm not overly worried about that. And speaking of Tyreek and speed, Hard Knocks episode number 3 is tonight. And you knew, I think the second we saw DK Metcalf surpass Tyreek Hill for fastest speed in the NFL this season, you knew Tyreek wasn't going to.
Listen, I was looking for him Friday. But because I thought I was going to bring it up so I could get a response because I wanted to turn Tyreek into the cheetah, and lo and behold, his position coach, Wes Welker's the guy just like laying it up on the offering. Hey, DK Metcalf, fastest guy in the NFL, took you down, Tyreek. And then it's like, what is that man going to say? What is he going to do, especially on a bum ankle? No,
correct. I don't know if you saw the clip that they played as a teaser, where now Welker is suggesting, dude, organize something in the summer, and then Tyreek's like, no, I'm not doing that. I want to get paid.
He's like, I'm not racing anybody.
Well, he said, I'm not for free or whatever, and that's where Welker goes, get sponsors. You'll get like $1 million purse. I think they could do that very easily.
Oh yeah, no, they could do that very easily. We did I Am Athlete, Terrell Owens and the Bum. They set up a race, and I think we got $500,000 for it, and that's 2 washed up old athletes. Owens
won, right?
Huh?
Owens won, right?
What?
Owens won, or the dude whose name?
The Bum keeps running from Owens.
They haven't done it yet? Okay.
Nah, he's ducking him. He's not, because he knows he's gonna smoke him. So yeah, and that's why Terrell's slandering him at every possible turn. Because we you know how hard we worked to get that $500,000, and then he didn't want. He was scared of T.O. because T.O.'s a freak of nature, and he still is a freak of nature. I think T.O.'s still running like a 4.4, which is ridiculous.
No argument there.
And getting to that point, this is something that I want to discuss because I am considering writing a column, and it's an about-face viewpoint. And I talked to my colleague Chris Perkins, who actually wrote this column maybe a month ago, which is Tyreek should be the MVP candidate for the Dolphins and not Tua Tagovailoa. I am starting to shift my opinion from this standpoint. I think Tyreek is the best receiver that we've seen in the NFL since Terrell Owens. I think he is better than Calvin Johnson. I think he's far more dynamic than Randy Moss, as Wes Welker has said. And we're talking a first ballot Hall of Famer right now. He puts together 3 more seasons like he's doing. Like he's close to 10,000 yards already. And if he does get to 2,000 yards, as something that Chris Perkins said to me, what quarterback in the NFL who the MVP award usually goes to is playing at a higher level than Tyreek Hill is at his position right now? What quarterback is playing better than Tyreek is at wide receiver?
Wow, is everything you're saying sounding familiar? And I feel like a jilted lover here because you're like saying, well, Perkins convinced me. Like I haven't been saying this for the past, how long have I been saying this?
Yeah, but yours was filled with Tua slander and Tua.
Wow. Wow. Was there a bus coming where you're trying to throw me under?
No.
Right.
I still will say that Tua is the engine that makes this thing go.
Then, by definition, what you just said there indicates that from your standpoint, Tua should be the MVP. If he's the engine that makes everything go, and I said to me, this offense is special because of Tyreek Hill, more so than any other player on the team. Even while Tua is playing at an MVP level,
I will make this argument.
Okay.
I will make this argument. Let's say Tyreek has to sit because of his ankle injury. I think you can insert Jalen Waddle into Tyreek's role, and you can put Chosen on the field. And yes, there will be drop off, but it will be Jalen Phillips to Andrew Van Ginkel drop off more than Jerome Baker to Duke Riley drop off. And I know Tyreek is a freak of nature, but I think the offense would still be running at a very efficient rate. Yes, you might not get 2 strikes for 120 yards, but that's partly because you're playing a bum defense in Washington. But you're still
no. When he does it against, he's done it. How many times has he done it this year?
Yeah, he's done it like 8 times this year. He's done.
Okay,
yeah.
So it's not because it was strictly Washington.
Yes, but I think a lot of this is they're feeding Tyreek. Yes, he's open all the time.
They are feeding Tyreek, no question.
They are feeding Tyreek.
It's like you're literally within the same podcast talking about how you've kind of shifted your thinking into into Tyreek deserving to be the MVP, and now you're like backtracking and arguing against yourself and saying that Tua should be the MVP.
Because Tua is still the engine that it does not work the same with Mike White. It's not going to work the same with Mike White.
But we don't know that. And we don't know that. And please don't go to 2022 where I have to bring up the
nobody wants to hear about Teddy Bridgewater's numbers. Okay. No.
Omar, then you don't know that. And the stat that I'm going to counter, if everything is the same without Tyreek, how is it that every single solitary completion of more than 35 yards this season for Tua, and he has 10 of them, have gone to Tyreek? Every single one of them.
Because Tua ain't looking for nobody else downfield. He's not.
Jalen Waddle's you can't look for Jalen Waddle down the field.
He's not. He's just not. I don't know why. I feel like Jalen Waddle and Jalen Waddle
because Tyreek's the one who's consistently, regardless of the attention he gets from opponents, getting down the field and creating those big plays like no receiver ever.
Yeah.
What he's doing is Tyreek. Here's the thing, and I said this on Twitter: Tua is having an MVP type of season. Tyreek Hill is having a historic season, and that to me should be recognized.
That's all. Okay, hold on. Let me write that down. I'm going to steal that from you.
Do I get one of these? Get one of these?
Yeah, you get one of those.
And again, this is not Tua disrespect, because I said
I was serious about stealing that, by the way.
You what?
I was serious about stealing that, by the way.
Go for it.
All right, yeah.
We'll put a double byline on it.
For one line?
like anybody cares about bylines or double bylines.
Yeah, I know. I think even though you talked me out of my own argument, then you talked me into my own argument. I do think Tua is having an MVP caliber season, and we all know that award goes to the quarterback with the best record and the best team, generally, unless they've won it already. We will agree that's how this MVP thing works, right?
Correct. But here's the thing, though, and if you follow like the national media, I have never seen narrative start to shift toward, I think Tyreek deserves consideration. ESPN, was it Get Up this morning? Reporter Dan Graziano, Dominique Foxworth, who's a former NFL player, both said Tyreek deserves to be the MVP. Peter King, who's about as well respected an NFL writer as there is.
He is the king. That the name is fitting.
Okay, he did like his top 5, and I believe he had Tyreek 5th, and Tua not among his top 5. So I think if there was a year, and that's the thing, if there was a year where you could go away from automatically quarterback of the number 1 and the number 2 seed.
This would be the year, just like Adrian Peterson when he won it. He got it for 2,000 yards.
Correct.
And I don't see any quarterback just absolutely trailblazing it. Dak maybe has a chance, but that would assume that he doesn't have a flat line at the end of the season like he usually does. They're not going to give it to Brock Purdy, no matter what his team does or he accomplishes, just because his resume is not substantial enough.
Except he's the one who's the betting favorite right now. The problem with Brock Purdy is he's not the best player on that offense.
Correct.
I mean, and in fact, he's not even the second best player in that offense. To me, I take McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel above him.
Yeah. And then Jalen Hurts, he's got to fix his team. So, hey, they just got pummeled by the 49ers. See, Miami lost one embarrassing game and didn't beat the 3 Super Bowl contenders on the road. And everybody's like, oh, look at them. They're pretenders. The Eagles got pummeled by the 49ers.
Yeah. The problem with your argument there, Omar, is in the 5 weeks before that, the Eagles beat the Cowboys, the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Dolphins. I think they've earned themselves some slack. Okay,
very, very well said. Another mint for you.
I'm gonna get. Can I get sick from having too many mints? I have to ask my.
Oh, okay. You have one good day. You have one good day, and all of a sudden, it's you're taking a victory lap here.
I'm not taking a victory lap. I just and regardless, I'm going to get killed in the comment section. Regardless, so it doesn't matter.
You know why they're here. They're here to hear your slander on Tua.
Nice guitar playing, by the way. I'll give them.
Oh my gosh! Like I asked Christian, like he's got a like. I knew he could play the ukulele. I did not know he could play the guitar like that. And he's so talented, multi-talented guy.
That was very good.
He's gonna own like a Hawaii hotel, and I think he's gonna do like a what do you call it? A residency.
What, Tua's bed and breakfast?
yeah, no, the bigger hotel than that, I'm sure. Oh, okay. They're like, bro, and Tua Tua's a big star. Tua's a big star. People go see Tua play his guitar. You don't think so?
Yeah, if he plays it well, yeah. I'm no issue with that.
Yeah.
Since I know we're on the verge of wrapping it up, I did start off at the beginning, and I do want to again another hat tip to Alec Ingold for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award nomination as a Dolphins representative. And if you watch any kind of NFL over the weekend, you saw My Cleats was all over the place, telling his story about how he was adopted at birth and he's gone about, helping families and all that. Super guy, very, very deserving. He actually was a nominee for the Raiders in 2020, back before he joined the Dolphins. We both like him a lot as a football player as well. I mean, great dude. So the overall winners are not announced until February. The Dolphins, by the way, have had 3 league-wide winners of the award.
Jason Taylor. Who else?
You won. The other 2 before. Think Hall of Fame.
Dan Marino.
There's a 3rd one.
Bob Greasy?
No. Maybe the best center in the history of the NFL.
Dwight Stevenson.
So
Okay.
those will be the 3 winners.
We will be back later today to do a live. Are we doing a live episode?
If we're not doing it live, I'm not doing it. We're doing it live.
Okay. A live recap of the Hard Knocks episode. I'm excited for seeing this episode because I didn't feel like the storylines have been good, and I just so happened to tell Hard Knocks people during
wow.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm going to criticize everybody, which I do.
You told them raise your game.
I told them raise your game. I just think there are way more storylines and way better storylines than what they've told. The Jalen Phillips, it was a phenomenal storyline, but there's so many more on this team. And so I'm looking forward to seeing them. They accepted the challenge. I'm looking forward to seeing them. I mean, and it takes a minute for guys to warm up to them and see that they're not a threat and see what the program is like to sort of cooperate. So hopefully that's what we're going to see, more guys cooperate, because I think right now it's only Tua, Cheetah, and McDaniel, who basically are the guys who are forced, who know that we have no choice. We're doing this for the NFL. Tyreek basically said, if you don't find me anymore, I'll do it. And the NFL has looked the other way on some of his celebrations and antics. And Christian Wilkins looked like he's getting a little bit more involved. And hopefully we can see, what storyline would you like to see from this week?
Well, we've seen the 2 trailers, which are the roller coaster ride at touchdown celebration, which was absolutely hilarious. And then the Tyreek with the speed thing. I don't think they'd go there, but I think, well, Achan's return to the lineup would be interesting. I'm not sure they're going to go there.
They got to, man. Achan is like a fantasy phenom. He's on everybody's fantasy team. They're locked in. They need to know about this young rookie. He finally gets unleashed and has 2 touchdowns. You can't ignore it.
I hope not. Tehran's travails would be another one. Interesting.
Look at you.
It's almost like I've been telling stories for a couple of years, right?
Absolutely.
I think AVG preparing for his first start, replacing Jalen Phillips. There's another one.
Look at you. Oh, it's almost like you've done this for 30 years, huh?
Almost, right?
Yeah. So yeah, tell me the Andrew Van Ginkel story, baby. Let's improve on these storytelling and tell the full picture of this team.
And I know, in closing, I know you don't want them to open with a scene of Mike McDaniel giving a speech to the whole team.
Oh my God, that is so boring. I mean, maybe because I listen to Mike McDaniel all the time.
Yeah,
and I listen to the rambling all the time. 2 minutes and 30 seconds, no matter what question you ask him. I know, because I have to hold the camera for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So, let's open it some other way. All right?
no worries.
You could open it with the planning of the celebration of the. I don't care. Open it some other way.
Or another Campanelli speech. I'm still looking. To me, what I'm going to do the rest of the series is to see if there'll ever be a better quote when all over the world they speak ass whooping. That's my focus the rest of the series.
So we will be back tonight at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. The show kind of ends early. So, yeah, I guess 10 o'clock. We'll be live doing a recap of the Hard Knocks episode. And then tomorrow we got Behind Enemy Lines. Teron Davenport, boss reporter for ESPN, joins us. So look forward to that. You know how to find our work, alldolphins.com. You know how to find the podcast, All Dolphins, on every platform, audio and video. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tonight.